Alright guys, it's time for the third part of this series. In the past 2 episodes of this docu-series on seafood sustainability, we looked at the fishermen. We looked at the vendors in supermarkets, but the one part we have not looked at yet are the chefs and the restaurants. I decided to first take the journey to another vendor before going to a restaurant, and I visited JJ McDonald & Co. I got the chance to speak to Laura Yeager, who's an account manager for JJ McDonald, and she had a lot of information in terms of sustainability and not only what vendors do, but what restaurants can do in order to kind of maintain it.
Well, I actually don't love the term sustainability because you don't want something to just be sustained. It's not thriving, it's just not going to crash tomorrow. Sustainability really means you're being responsible, you're fishing responsibly, you're managing to your utmost ability, you are respecting the fishing grounds and making sure even if you're fishing for one species, you're not doing something that's harmful to another. It really comes down to responsibility and accountability.
On top of the interview I got to do with Laura, she actually volunteered to take me on a tour of JJ McDonald's fishery facilities. I also got the chance to meet Latrice Mims, who helped with this tour of the facility. From their huge dock to how clean they kept everything, to the lobster showers that they had in order to maintain running water on the lobsters and other seafood in order to help keep their freshness. They showed me everything, including the different types of fish they had, whether it be wild or farm raised, and they even showed me how they processed each piece of fish in their facility before sending it out to the people who buy them. The people at JJ McDonald were so enthusiastic about their processing and about sustainability that it made me wonder why anyone would not follow sustainability to begin with. Why wouldn't anyone want to be responsible in fishing?
So I don't encounter anyone that doesn't want to be responsible in fishing. The pushback is the price. At the end of the day, what the consumer wants and what they're willing to pay dictates the decision chefs make often. Often a more sustainable or responsible choice is going to be more expensive. It's not that people don't want the sustainable option, they would love to have it, but a lot of people can't afford it or their customers aren't willing to pay for it.
There's also been this big conversation of farm raised versus wild caught, and Laura made sure to emphasize the fact that farm raised fish are a more sustainable option because they allow for you to not make a negative net impact on the environment surrounding the fish, as opposed to wild caught, in which you're just literally taking what already exists without trying to do anything to necessarily bring them back. And she used oyster farming as a good way to explain how farm-raised fish and other seafood can really help the environment.
Oyster farming is a big thing that's happening here in the United States, especially on the East Coast and Maryland, especially there's a big push. Those are farmed in the water, but they have no negative impact on their surrounding environment. They actually improve the surrounding environment. And oysters, especially wild oysters here in Maryland, are like a really, really heavily overfished, vulnerable species. So, you know, we get a lot of people who are like, I don't want anything farmed, I don't want those farmed oysters, and you try to explain to them, no, like this is the better option. They're cleaning the water by being in there, and you don't want to take from the wild stock. So yeah, there is a big difference between farm versus wild, and we really need to educate the general public that farmed is good, farmed is better.
Laura and I also talked about this idea of vegan options as being sustainable, and she actually really supported the idea because when you're eating vegan, you're not really eating any meat from the environment, so it's not hurting anything. And so the gang decided to gather up and visit a vegan option ourselves. We took to Land of Kush in Baltimore, a vegan soul food restaurant that is most known for its meatless crab cake option, and we wanted to go and try it for ourselves. So Karuga, Alex, and I decided to visit on an afternoon after classes. The environment was very friendly, very relaxed, very open. They had a good selection of things on their menu, all vegan items, and we all tried different things. Karuga tried yams that looked absolutely delicious. Alex tried a veggie burger for the first time. He'd never had one, and so he tried one that was made out of garbanzo beans. And I went for the crab cakes, but unfortunately I couldn't get them.
Hi, could I have 2 crabs? We only have them.
No worries. Could I grab the We ended up going on the wrong day, so I opted for vegan chicken curry instead.
So we came here to try seafood, but alas, I don't have seafood because we didn't come on the right day. So we're taking the L's today.
So many L's have been taken today, but it's okay.
So we tried our hand at the vegan option, but we wanted to stay focused on making sure to look at the different places that use sustainability practices for actual meat. So we decided to visit a completely different restaurant on the opposite side of town. We took a trip to Baltimore Country Club, a very well-established place for people to enjoy, lounge around, and mingle, and they have some top-of-the-line chefs that help to prepare things, especially when it comes to popular seafood items from their menu. Chef Parker Green was willing to work with us, and he even gave us a little mini crash course on seafood and how to make a scalloped dish.
Sustainably grown. You're looking at this, you got your belly right here. You got your main loin right here. What we do is then take this belly this belly right here we end up using for a lot of different things. We use it for crudos, smoked salmon, riglets. So what I usually do is I just take it off the skin here. Now you could technically cook it with the skin, but you end up taking it off for salad.
Do you usually try to use every part of the salmon?
Yep. So the only thing we won't typically use is the skin.
Chef Green went to school to learn more about seafood and sustainability, and it was something that he emphasized was very important in his personal practices as a chef, but also the practices of those at the Baltimore Country Club.
I think the market is definitely changing, especially in the way of sustainability. I think chefs are becoming more aware of the situation that's happening. And a lot of the big name chefs right now, that's what they're pushing for. They're pushing for using products that typically wouldn't be used.
As Chef Parker Green went through the process of creating the scalloped dish, I was not only mesmerized by just the process of creating one, but I was also mesmerized by this idea that once again, there were people in the food industry that looked at sustainability as something that was important, not something that was threatening their jobs. And after speaking to Chef Parker Green, I was able to learn that chefs have options such as cooking and using everything that they can instead of wasting any piece of whatever they're cooking, or cooking different items that most people don't go for, cooking vegan items, or even going as far as joining different type of sustainable fishery programs such as oyster farming and oyster recycling in order to help the environment. Chefs have all of these different options, and it's a matter of them going for it and using them without having to sacrifice their job or the money that they make in order to do so. After all the places that we visited, that was probably the most pertinent question that we had remaining. How can sustainability affect the future of those who work? I got the chance to ask Laura Yeager myself, and she had a really interesting response.
Last question. What do you think sustainability is going to do as far as affecting the future of work in this industry, whether it be the chefs, the watermen, even your job? Do you feel like it's going to help careers, or do you think it's going to kind of limit them?
That's a tough question. I don't really know. I don't think it will grow or limit careers, but it's going to affect how people operate in their careers, especially the chefs and those people who are, you know, running the restaurants, because right now they want to build their menu and they'll say, okay, what's something that's going to be consistent size, consistent availability under this price. But if we go more towards sustainable options, they're going to have to be more flexible. One, be willing to pay more. Two, be willing to you know, every day say, hey, this is the most sustainable option we have today. Can you put this on your menu today? I can't guarantee we're gonna have it every day, and today it might be $9, tomorrow might be $12, you know, things like that. So I think it's gonna more affect people's pattern of behavior. I don't see it really taking away jobs or adding jobs. Yeah, just changing how people think and how they operate.